Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen. Today we are outside on my little deck, as my Texan friends would say. And now I also have a big deck out back, and I got a little deck. In fact, I got two decks. But enough about my deck. Let's talk burgers. In fact, let's talk barbecue burgers. For those of you that don't have a barbecue, don't go away, because I'm going to show you how to make barbecue style burger without a barbecue. If you've got a frying pan and you got an oven, I guarantee you're going to love this recipe. Now, for those of you that do have a barbecue and feeling energetic, and you want to fire up the grill, like this one, which has got briquettes on one side, it's got gas on the other side, by all means, stay tuned for that too. Now, if you want a burger that's about that big, that thick, dry, you play hockey with, then get lost, because this is not the episode. On the other hand, if you're looking for a really good, juicy barbecue style burger, or as my wife calls it, a 2-napkin burger, and you know what, you're going to want to watch this. So let's go inside and get her done. Okay, well, let's mix this baby up. So we're going to start with the ground beef, the basic product here. And when I get it from the butcher, I simply peel the meat apart. This is all of these, by the way, these are details that are important. Okay, so rather than just pulling the meat out and putting it in a bowl and starting to mix the crap out of it, personally, I know that there's a difference if you just start and be delicate with it. If you do this, you're going to end up with a much better product. Now, I know in a commercial situation this can be a little difficult, but we're not in a commercial situation right now. I mean, it can be done. There are places I know in restaurants that will actually do this as well. But for us, today, it's not a big deal. So we just keep peeling the beef apart. And I'm using ground beef that's at just under 30% fat. You heard me, 30%. I don't use extra lean. I actually want the fat in my burger, initially anyway. But when you see how I cook it, most of the fat will disappear. It won't be in the burger itself. It'll be in a tray underneath. And you'll end up with a very flavorful burger that's still not totally fatty, because nobody likes a greasy burger, right? So I know this takes a little bit of extra work, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. And the other thing that you're going to see here too is that when I mix it, I don't mix it with my hands. I use 2 forks. Again, I try not to manhandle, as I call it, manhandling the beef too much. I break it up into really light pieces, because when it comes out of the grinder, it's already pretty much broken up like this. It's done half the job for you. A lot of other people will grab it and they start pounding it and mixing it and doing this and packing it in. And that's definitely the opposite of what we are working for today. So next I'm going to take the caramelized onions. You can see they're slightly burnt, but that adds lots of flavor. Now, a lot of people just put in chopped onions, which is great. But I got to tell you, if you're looking for little nuances in flavor, this is the way to go. The next one is I'm going to put 2 eggs in here. Now, if you're looking for specifics on the amounts, don't worry, just go to my website. The entire recipe is there. Now, you saw how I cracked those eggs. I didn't crack them on the edge of the bowl. A lot of people make the mistake of cracking an egg on the edge of the bowl, and what it does is it pushes the eggshells in, and you end up with shells in your eggs. Whereas if you do it on a flat surface, like that, you end up with just the eggs and not the shells. Again, it's another small detail, but it makes a difference. And again, also, I'm not going to just throw the eggs straight in. I'm going to whisk them first, lightly, and put that around. It just makes everything more homogeneous. And I've got some Dijon mustard. I'm going to put that in. Next I've got coarse pepper. I'm going to leave a little bit in reserve because I like to put that on top of the burger later. This is Maggi. Okay? Maggi seasoning. Some people like to use Worcester. This originally came from Switzerland, but I like this better. It has a bigger, fuller body flavor than Worcester does. It tastes awesome. I use it in a lot of food. It's kind of like, I think it was one of the cooking magazines recently put out and said this is their secret recipe or a secret ingredient. What I'm putting in now is garlic powder. And that's powder. I'm not putting in garlic salt. But I am now going to put in seasoning salt. And again, I'm going to hold a little bit back in reserve. This is what I use. Okay. And now I'm going to use panko, which is a Japanese breadcrumb. Now, the purpose of a panko, believe it or not, is as a moisturizer. Okay? What happens is when you start to cook it, once it's mixed properly, the panko will absorb all of the liquids and it holds it in the breadcrumbs until it starts to cook, and then it releases it into the meat. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but trust me, it works really well. So now, as you can see, I'm using a fork to mix this. This is the consistency you're looking for. You don't want a hard-packed big ball. All right, so now let's make the patties. I'm gonna cover I've got a simple digital scale here because I like my burgers all to be the same size. And I make mine to be 200 grams. That's 220. There we go. And you'll notice I'm not trying to compress the heck out of them. I just want them to be fairly well put together because they'll bind very well with the egg and with the panko in there. I'm not really worried about them falling apart. So you can see, this is about the size of patty you're going to end up with. And yes, there will be some loss because of the amount of fat that's going to drain off of them, which is exactly what we want. We just want the flavor profile from the fat. We don't actually want all the fat. Okay, so an hour's gone by. I've taken the patties out of the fridge, and now I'm going, and my oven is preset to 350 bake, middle rack, and as you can see, all right, and I'm going to put 2 patties on. I'm not putting the other 4 on because there's only 2 of us having dinner tonight. Those other 4 are going to go in the freezer, and I will do that later, another time. So that goes in, and that's baked, as I said, for 350, 17 minutes, and we'll come right back after that's done. Okay, so they're been in for 17 minutes now, and I've got this pan here on the stove, preheated, with avocado oil and some butter, and that's the 17-minute mark. And let's turn this up a bit. I'm going to put this on high, well, medium high, and I'm going to pull these out. Out of the oven. They've been baking, and I'm now going to put them and sear them. I'm going to put a little bit of pepper on, just a little, and I'm going to put a dollop of barbecue sauce. Now you can make your own barbecue sauce, of course. In this case, I'm just using a store-bought barbecue, and I'm going to let these sear for the next 4 minutes. Okay, I lied. Given this stove, it's actually 3 minutes. But I'm going to put these. I'm going to do the same thing to them. Just a little bit of sauce on top. You see they're a little bit charred. And now I'm going to take some extra aged cheddar. And I'm going to leave that for 2 minutes. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to take these. I'm going to put those in the oven on broil. And I've taken brioche buns. You can use regular hamburger buns, but I prefer to use the brioche. And I'm going to toast the brioche at the same time. And this makes a big difference. It's nice to have a big toasted bun. And obviously take that off. And I'm going to wait until the cheddar is fully melted on broil and the buns are heated and slightly toasted. And then I'm going to pull them and we will build. Okay. So it's been in now for, what did I say before? 4 minutes. And as you can see here, I'm going to pull the burgers and let them rest for a minute. There we go. These are nice and toasty. Now, one of the things you want to do, now you could butter these if you want, it's not really necessary, but instead, I'm going to put on another secret ingredient that I'm sharing with you today, which is smoked mayonnaise. So take some liquid smoke, mix it with the mayonnaise. Instead of paying $7 for a jar like that big, you can simply make it yourself. Right? And you can put lettuce on, all sorts of garnishes. For today, Linda likes a simple burger. So I'm putting some Spanish or red onion on. And take that, like that. And I also have some double smoked chunky bacon, which I'm going to put on top. And I've got some mustard and some ketchup. And that's the burger. Now let's cut into that and I'll show you what I mean. That is one juicy burger. So there you have it. Barbecue style burger without a barbecue. And for those of you that have a barbecue, let's say you want to do 20 burgers or more at a time, obviously you can't do it in a frying pan, so you can use this bad baby. Now, key ingredient takeaways here are, one, I use regular ground beef. Now, if you want to use lean, fine, but I find that's a lot juicier, and the fat, that excess fat drips off when I bake it in the oven anyway. Second, don't overwork the meat. Keep it fluffy, keeps it like a nice light burger. Also, I like to use the smoked mayo. Make your own smoked mayo. I show you how in the recipe. You can go to the site and get all the ingredients and all the proportions of how to do that. It's not brain surgery. That's about it, I think. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, you want to respond, just go to my website at Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen. Be happy to. And we will see you soon. So take care.